You are 5 minutes into the presentation. The executives around the table are quiet, but they aren't actually listening. Their brains have slipped into the default mode network, a passive, low-retention state where they are simply waiting for you to finish talking. Standard cliché questions like, "Have you ever wondered how we can increase margins?" fail to break this state. These inquiries signal the speaker's insecurity and require zero actual thought from the audience. To break through, you must invert the dynamic. You stop handing over unearned information, instead forcing the audience to actively generate answers themselves. Capturing high-level attention requires shifting the cognitive burden of the presentation directly onto the listener. Researchers at Carnegie Mellon define this specific mechanism as the information gap, a precise piece of missing knowledge that a listener is suddenly made aware of. The human brain biologically craves clarity. When you expose a gap in someone's knowledge, their prefrontal cortex automatically fires up to resolve the uncertainty. Scientists call this attention weights. Because your brain has limited resources, it constantly calculates what deserves focus. Deploying a rhetorical question artificially spikes the attention weight on that specific issue. The brain must answer it. The rhetorical question operates as a cognitive trap. It leverages the biological mechanics of the brain to force undivided engagement. But this trap is volatile. A classic study tracks how audience agreement shifts with rhetorical questions. In the low involvement group, agreement shot up alongside strong arguments, forcing cognitive elaboration. But in the high involvement group, agreement actively decreased, distracting already engaged listeners. Deploying a question requires a speaker to accurately read the room's baseline involvement first. Questions are situational tools. If you use them on a room that is already meticulously following your logic, they will actively backfire. When the room's attention drifts, you can draw from 3 classical frameworks to pull them back. First is epiplexis, the challenge framework. You use this to shift responsibility or gently rebuke the room. Why are we accepting a 5% loss on these margins? Next is eretesis, the align framework, using universally shared truths to evoke emotion and build sudden consensus. Do we really want to hand our market share to a competitor? Then there is hypophora, the escalate framework. You ask the question and immediately answer it yourself to maintain absolute narrative control. What's our next move? We consolidate the supply chain. But none of these frameworks work without the pause buffer. Neurologically, the brain requires exactly 2 to 3 seconds of silence to fully process the information gap you just opened. Your words build the trap. Your discipline to hold the silence is what springs it. Sharp, data-driven inquiries instantly frame business context and trade-offs, replacing the passive openings that stall executive meetings. C-suite executives do not want to reconstruct your analysis step by step. They demand immediate synthesis and a focus on outcomes. Controlling the specific questions asked in a meeting limits the range of acceptable answers the room can generate. By constraining the acceptable range of internal answers, the speaker maintains total directional control over the narrative flow. Rhetorical architecture makes the speaker the invisible architect of the room's final decision.